Well, after Kyrie Irving made the news public earlier in the week that he wanted to be traded from the Brooklyn Nets, the Dallas Mavericks quickly took up on the offer and acquired Kyrie Irving in a blockbuster deal, sending Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first-round pick, and multiple second-round picks to Brooklyn in exchange for Kyrie Irving. There are many other suitors in the race, particularly the Lakers, which seem to be the inevitable destination. But out of nowhere, the Nets decided to take up on the Mavericks' offer. And as we all know, most Mavericks fans have been praying for Mark Cuban to send some help to Luka and not rot away these precious years of him away from winning an NBA championship. Now with this deal, you're adding a bona fide star player to your team to play alongside your young superstar and Luka Doncic. So the Mavericks front office have done their part. So what does this deal lead to? And can the Dallas Mavericks now, with the addition of Kyrie Irving, be a legit team to win the NBA championship? Let's first look at how Kyrie Irving fits with the Mavericks, and I'll try to weigh the benefits and the negatives of acquiring him. Adding a star-studded offensive creator in Kyrie Irving basically guarantees a player who's going to give you 25 plus points per game on a nightly basis with positive efficiency. Kyrie Irving's isolation game is probably one of the best assets he adds to a team, and according to NBA.com, players who average at least 3 isolation attempts a game, Kyrie Irving leads the NBA in that, averaging 1.28 points per possession. And do you guys want to know who's fourth? Luka Doncic is fourth, averaging 1.5 points per possession. So adding now Kyrie now to the fold, you arguably, with the tandem of Kyrie and Luka Doncic, you probably have the best isolation duo in the league. Try to imagine possessions now where on one possession you can clear the floor for Luka Doncic to operate in the post and let him go to work. Now the next following possessions, instead of just using Luka and tiring him out, you can now have Kyrie Irving who you can bring to the fold, who can also run various sets that clear the floor for him to attack at the elbows or spread out and let him operate at the top of the key and let him go to work. In those isolation sets, Kyrie elects to use his handle in a creative way to create space for him to go into his middies. You notice Kyrie likes to set up in a triple threat stance, and he would frequently attack in this variation with either those slick step backs and pull back for jumpers, or sometimes he'll just rise over the defender, just shoot right in his face and swish the jumper. He's easily one of the best tough shot makers in the league, and that adds a ton of value to a team since he can be a bailout for you on many occasions. Where the initial shot can fizzle out, you could throw in Kyrie, and on most occasions he can hit that tough shot that has you coming out of the possession with 2 or 3 points. And with that creative handle and amazing footwork, I don't think you can truly just leave Kyrie one-on-one. Since he's so shifty with that handle, he can create a ton of space with those snatchbacks or spins for the fall-away jumpers. Kyrie has a nice hezzy too, faking defenders as if he was going one way but instead go the other, and he loves to pick his spots, and he's never rushed when he's looking to score. And as a pull-up shooter, he provides a great threat to defenses in this way too, from the mid-range and three-point line. Kyrie averages 12 pull-up jumpers a game on 45.8% from the field. Kyrie, usually when he gets a screen, likes to flow into the pull-up jumpers, basically making him a drop coverage killer essentially. If the pick and roll second defender decides not to play higher up, Kyrie has a great 2-dribble pull-up to make the opposing teams pay, and since teams are basically being forced to play higher, this is value he'll bring to the Mavs that will greatly help force them into more aggressive coverages, which helps the team that lacks true connectors and good ball handlers. He can stop on a dime very quickly too, being able to quickly stop his momentum on a whim to shoot those jumpers. Honestly, this is an aspect the Mavs I believe will desperately need, mainly because I believe they can use Kyrie as a supercharged Brunson in this role next to Luka Doncic, with the dynamic he brings as a shooter and creator, pair that next to the ridiculous offensive engine in Luka, and now you have the potential to not only become the best offense in the league, but also break the scale of how we gauge offensive teams. Kyrie Irving is a very good finisher too, although sometimes I do believe people like to overstate how good of a finisher he actually is, but overall, he's still going to be a great bonus to a team that's really been absent of a good finisher outside of Luka Doncic. Kyrie Irving, as we all know, is very ambidextrous with his finishing, being able to finish with both hands, probably the best in the league. And as I alluded to earlier with his handles, he uses that to carve his way into driving lanes and get to the cup consistently. He has this unique elusiveness to him, not having the greatest vert for his size, but he possesses very great hang time to be able to adjust midair and audible whenever he's in a tight spot to change it up and score at the rim. Kyrie doesn't have some game-breaking speed, but because he has such good change of directions with his handle, it makes it hard to truly keep him out of the paint whenever he decides to go at the cup. Him being such a prolific creator, he's going to alleviate a ton of the offensive load off of Luka, which is something that I'm happy to see. Luka Doncic, since his second year in the league, was handling the ball at all-time rates. And as we know, using this style of basketball, having your best player dominate the ball in this fashion, having to make every decision for you, typically doesn't lead to championships. So you're going to need to diverse the offense a bit so you won't be so predictable. Luka's finally going to be playing with a player that can pressure defenses with his elite pull-up shot and good finishing ability, which inherently makes the game easier for Luka. Since we've seen in playoff games, Luka, after carrying the Mavs through first 3 quarters, would sometimes tire out, which bled into the Mavs offense. Adding Kyrie should give him a much needed injection, not only to help Luka when they're playing together, but also help the Mavs whenever Luka's not on the court. The Mavs offense this year, whenever Luka is on the court, boasts an offensive rating of 120.4. But whenever Luka's off the court, they have an offensive rating of 108.9. That's a 12% drop off, a very large decline. Kyrie should for sure help mitigate the decline the Mavs deal with offensively when Luka's off the court, which will prove to be huge, especially come into postseason time. In the minutes without Luka, they won't have to be fully indexed on when Luka's going to have to come back on the court, because if Kyrie can keep them afloat, they should be truly fine. Now, to talk about the pure fit with Kyrie and Luka, I can understand how people can be very skeptical about the fit between them on both sides, but at the same time, I'm not that worried about them offensively. Firstly, because we've seen Kyrie play with 2 ball-dominant players already in LeBron James and James Harden in that sample size we have, and he's fit perfectly fine with the 2 of them. With Luka, I don't see it being that much different, to be honest with you. Kyrie's still going to be very good as a catch and shooter. Arguably, he might become even better playing alongside Luka, since he generates the most threes for his teammates in the league. For the last 3 years, Kyrie averages 41% from 3 on catch and shoot attempts, which is very good. He's also really good at operating coming off flare screens and staggers and popping out to shoot his jumpers. And as we know, Kyrie works well attacking closeouts and making the slanted defenses pay. Luka Doncic, as I talked about in my previous video, Luka's arguably the best advantage creator in the league. Pretty much every possession he's on the court, he's bending and shifting the defenses in favorable situations for his team. Now imagine adding Kyrie to that fold. For as good of a player KD was, he wasn't garnering the same defensive attention that Luka attracts on a game-to-game basis. So Kyrie, not only is he such a dangerous catch and shoot threat, having him in a series of actions where he can attack slanted defenses in rotation because of the Luka pressure that he puts is going to be a pleasure to watch. Their defense, however, is an issue that I do believe you can't just ignore. They were the 24th ranked best defense before this trade, and they just traded a massive piece that made them bearable in Dorian Finney-Smith, who was the only real defensive stopper for them on the wing. So I'm really curious to see how they'll be able to patch this massive hole they've created now. They still need a defensive big desperately before I can truly take them serious, and probably one more 3-and-D wing to bolster that defense, because currently contracted, I think they're pretty easily the worst defensive team that's considered a true contender, even with them still having Maxi Kleber and Josh Green being good defensively. That won't be able to patch all those holes that they've created. But honestly, I think this trade was worth the risk you should take as the Dallas Maverick organization. You don't want to be that organization known for wasting away Luka's years, so trading for a star like Kyrie at the buying price he was at currently, I do believe is worth the risk. And even if Kyrie decides not to sign the extension with them this offseason, they still can get a sign and trade and try to retain some assets for trading for Kyrie Irving. The offensive potential of this duo is truly off the charts and generally can be video game breaking. The defense is for sure an issue, but I do really think that this team is a piece or two away from truly taking them as that scary loomer in the West to true title favorites. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button since it helps my video perform better on the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button and the post notification bell to always be notified whenever I upload a video. Also, let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think of this trade and how far do you believe the Mavericks will go come postseason time? With that all being said, I hope all of you guys have a blessed day.